much money, then I am going to ignore the gap. So one of the gaps says that expense recognition. Okay, you spent $100. Your accountant put $105 into the books by accident. So at the end of the year, your debits and credits are off by $5. You're Walmart. Okay, you've got $10,500,000 here, and you've got $10,500,000 on the credit, $505 on the credit side. $5 is immaterial to Walmart, so they're going to ignore this expense recognition gap, or they're going to ignore any gap that says we have to match here because it's only $5. It's not material. To go and find that $5 mistake in my accounts would probably take a bookkeeper 2 or 3 days. A bookkeeper's salary is probably about $100 a day. It would cost me $300 to find that $5 error. That just doesn't make sense. It's too costly, so I'm going to ignore it. The best example of the materiality principle is rent. Okay? Let's say you rent a building, so you go through the month, and at the end of the month you pay your rent. How much do you pay for? For an entire month, right? What does the expense recognition say? Record your expenses in your journal when you use it. When do you use rent? Every day. So on the first day of the month, you'd say, oh, today we pay, $300 a month. So today we use $10 worth of rent. Rent expense, $10. Rent payable, or an account payable to the rent company, $10. The next day, rent expense, $10, $10. But why stop at days? When do we use rent? Every minute, every second. So if I really were to follow the expense recognition principle, I'm using rent on a second-by-second basis, right? Rent expense, 2 cents. Rent payable, 2 cents. Rent expense, 2 cents. And I would pay somebody all day to just do rent expense because I'm using rent every second, right? Does that make sense? Too time-consuming, and it costs too much. I've got to pay somebody to do that. So what do we say? It's immaterial. I'm going to ignore the expense recognition principle until the end of the month when I pay for my rent. Then I'm going to say rent expense, $300, cash, $300. Did I follow the expense recognition? No. Why didn't I? Because materiality. I said it would be too costly or it would be too time consuming to do that, so I'm going to ignore it until it's at a point where that number is material. $300 is material. Now I'm going to pay rent. Okay? Does that make sense? I'm seeing some yeses and no's. Okay. So those are all of the gaps that we did in class. There are a few more that I'm going to touch up on, but they're going to be on the board. So hopefully this video will end up online in the next couple days.